I'm Jamie Carragher, and you are listening to the Pint Podcast.
What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the Pint Podcast and Pod and a Pint, episode 7. We are here in Shenanigans once again, joined by Sam and Rimmer on the Guinness.
Good to see you. All right, it's nice to be here.
Yeah.
Nice little setup, this.
Nice, isn't it? Yeah, just nicely put away in the corner next to the dartboard.
Yeah.
I had a few people the other day going, are you finished there? Because I want to throw a few darts. I was like, yeah, I'll get out your way. Like, you throw it there, just let me get over there first. But yeah, how are we doing?
All right, good. It's been a decent year. Life is good and footy's even better.
Well, we're going to get onto footy because obviously there's a load of stuff, and obviously it's New Year's Eve today, so might do a little player awards type thing, like 2024 players of the year and all that stuff. But yeah, you've had like a good Christmas and all that.
Yeah, I was actually ill over Christmas.
I've had the stuff that everyone's got.
Yeah, just like full of cold and feeling pretty lousy. So my daughter wasn't too well, and like a few other family members weren't well. And this year we went out. I didn't cook.
Yeah.
Went for a curry Christmas Day.
Oh, nice.
Recommend it. It's a really good thing. So, apart from that, I felt so lousy. I ate like a small child. I had kids portions of food and basically nursed a pint the entire time.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was really good. Yours good?
Yeah. Just standard. Like we had, we were cooking Christmas dinner for the second year in a row. So it's not quite as fun because you're in the kitchen slaving and all that. I know obviously that's your livelihood, cooking, but it's not mine.
Yeah.
And I'd rather not.
Everyone stresses it. Is that thing, Christmas dinner? It's a roast dinner.
Yeah.
But we all stress and, it builds up for everyone. And me included, I'll be honest, when I cook Christmas dinner, I think it is the most stressful meal that you cook.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do, it feels like, you don't have enough plates, cutlery, crockery, chairs, you name it. Yeah, every part of it is stressful.
Emergency chairs and all that.
Always.
It's like defrosting stuff if you frost it, like you frozen it and all that, and it's just like...
Yeah.
And then you sit down and it's gone in 10 minutes, and you're like, what's the fucking point in all that?
and then you wash dishes for 2.5 hours. It's not good. Which is why we went out, and it was good.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had Neil Atkinson from Anfield Rap on last week, and I was like, would have been perfect to have you last week.
Yeah.
Just to like get some tips for the Christmas dinner and that. I was like, we'll do New Year's Eve instead. But yeah, of course, like Sunday Brunch, like how's that going? Obviously,
great. We've just been recommissioned for 2 more years, so we're on until March 2027, which is quite unbelievable. So that will be Tim and I have worked together now for 17 years. It'll be 19 years by the time that runs out. I mean, we're just incredibly lucky, Mick. You know that we still get viewers, people still like it, guests like coming on. If you've got a book to sell, then it sells books. If you've got an album out, it sells albums. If you've got tickets for a gig, it sells that. So it works for the guests. Guests like coming back. It's a really nice, chilled environment, and I do think it's the best job in the world. Yeah, it's the best job in the world, and we're very fortunate.
Yeah.
We are very lucky that people still do it. So if you do, thank you very much. Big time. Yeah.
No, I think I asked you. I think I joined the pod like I can't remember now. It must have been a few months ago.
Yeah.
I think I said something to you like, "Are you sick of Tim yet?" And I was like, "Should I have asked that?" It was a bit cheeky for the first pod to do it.
Well, the thing is, we are like I used to say we're like a married couple. I think we're like two brothers. Two brothers who support different teams.
Yeah.
So I mean, Tim, I've not seen Tim for 2 weeks. Of course, last time I saw him, Chelsea were flying.
Yeah.
And you were looking at them and thinking, we last time I saw him, the derby had just been postponed, and then Chelsea were playing. You think, they could catch you with blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And of course, then their Christmas has fallen apart.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why I don't want to get too ahead of myself, because a couple of weeks ago they could have went top for a bit.
Yeah.
If they would have won that game, I can't know what game it was, but like it's mad how fast it can change. And then in the group chat last night, someone was saying like Arsenal play twice now before we play United, and it's like they could be like 3 points off us going into that game. It's like it's mad how fast. Obviously, we'll have the game in hands and all that still, but it's just
you
mad
want points, don't you?
Points on the board, especially. So it's fast how much it can change. But like obviously, we'll get into slot and now controlled and all that we are, and like amazingly. But I just wanted to ask you, like Sunday brunch wise, then, because like you said, you get like sometimes like a mad plethora of guests. Like sometimes I switch on and like just like a random, like always like there's always like a couple of like massive names though. Like there's always like, and you're like looking at like the lineup when they're sat at the table, like waiting for you to cook them something. You always recognise it, most of them anyway. For me,
I mean it is amazing. I think that we're very lucky now that we're on that loop of, well, obviously guests who've been on really like it, so they want to come back on. And like I said, it works from a promo point of view. But we punch above our weight. You know, we had one of the girls from Selling Sunset, Bree, I don't know what her name is, a while ago. And that's a massive global show. And she was saying when all the promo was being lined up for her, was in the States, then Sunday Brunch was one that she said just kept cropping up, saying, you've got to do Sunday Brunch, And it's incredibly flattering that, that we are deemed as being a show that people want to come on. You have people like, it'd be like Jeff Goldblum sitting around the table and things like that. Jeff Goldblum, he came on once, and Jeff Goldblum was also a really amazing jazz pianist. And the second time he came on, he said to the researcher, would it be okay if I bring my keyboards in? You do whatever you want, mate, you're Jeff Goldblum. So he came in, and before the show, he said to Tim and I, this is last time I was on, I was thinking how lovely it would be if I just played some jazz while Simon was cooking. So Jeff Goldblum just stood there and just played jazz piano. Like, you think,
incredible.
It proper pinch yourself moments, really are.
Especially people like that who are like, they can walk down any street in any city in the world, and you'd be like, Jeff Goldblum. That's incredible. And is there any other people like that you've just thought, I can't believe that I'm talking to X, X, Y,
Kathleen Turner, we've had her on. Phil Collins, when he came on, Phil Collins is one of the nicest guests we've ever had on. So Phil is like, he has quite a few mobility issues, so he walks with a stick. And in our old studio, so there was a little area where you'd make a brew, or rather like, the runners would make a brew. And I was just walking through to go get something from my dressing room. I just see Phil Collins kind of like standing in the area where we make the brew. I said, all right, Phil. He goes, he goes, Simon said, do you think it'd be all right if I made myself a cup of tea? Phil Collins! You can do whatever you want.
It's mad though, because I think sometimes maybe they don't grasp like the gravity of who they are as well.
And that's the lovely thing. I think you're right. I mean, I think in general terms in life, I think that, people who are incredibly successful and incredibly famous, they don't need to prove anything. So Phil Collins is happy being Phil Collins. He doesn't need to be Phil Collins who's trying to be somebody else. And so he's just incredibly nice and incredibly gentle and lovely.
Because like Phil Collins is my dad's favourite, and then obviously because of that, it was my favourite growing up as a kid. And like I think maybe like when you get to his age, what is he, like 73 now, 70, something like that. So maybe like as you've come out to like the limelight of being like an amazing singer and all these albums and amazing on the drums and all that stuff, then when you come out of that, maybe trying to think how like your music can then transcend like other generations, and like maybe not really, especially if he's got like mobility issues and doesn't go out much, maybe, or he's at home loads, maybe doesn't really doesn't remind himself like how massive that he is, and that type of thing.
I do think the thing with musicians in particular, you sort of think if you're Phil Collins or whoever, and you've written a song like In the Air Tonight, and that's probably 50 years old, that song now? Probably not far off. And it's still relevant and people still love it today. That's incredibly powerful. To sort of think that, well, I wrote that and still in 2024, people still want to play that song. I think music is so powerful in that way.
Massively. All right, then we could do Sunday brunch for another. You said you've got to go out in 6 hours, so we'll have to move on. Otherwise, I'll keep asking you. We've got to talk about the Reds, because we've just been speaking before we started recording about like just incredible. Like Sunday, we beat West Ham 5-0, and going into that, you were like, I was like, it's a bit. They've got really good players, but they're not in the best of form. But they can turn up and they can like Kudus, how good is he? Like he can make something happen at the post. He can make stuff happen in the blink of an eye. And just thinking like it's one of them games where if we don't turn up, they could take advantage of that. And you go, like, especially away games, I'm going into most of them going, I'm nervous, excited, and expecting a win. But also, you know that you've got to turn up. Like, and it's funny that Slot always references the Forest game. And you can just imagine, like, he's got like a Forest badge in his bedroom with a dartboard like that, just throwing darts at it because he fucking hates that game because of what happened. And I think that was the only loss for him in 2024, which is just again in itself credible.
Yeah, but it's funny because I was at the Forest game, and I think we all thought the same thing. This is when the wheels come off, because we didn't look great in that game. I don't think we looked great in every game that we played, but we looked like we ran out of ideas pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And they dealt with us really, really quickly. And you think, oh, is this where it starts to crumble? But it so hasn't.
Yeah.
So hasn't. It's been incredible.
I think in a good way. I think people have referenced this as well, like on like fan channels, like on Phil Rapp and stuff, where these, and I agree with it. Like, it was good in a way that it happened then as well.
Yeah.
Because it can be like a baseline. It's like,
yeah,
because Slot is obviously always saying to them, don't be this shit. Like, this is the bar. Like, don't go below that. If you're getting below that, I'll fucking tell you, and you need to be better than that.
Yeah.
But like you said, we've gone on to do amazing stuff. So it's like that's the low bar. Like, try not to hit that. But like obviously, like West Ham, where we blew them away 5-0, and there's other games where we've just tore people apart. And I think the only blemish was the injury to Joe Gomez, because I think Joe Gomez has been. Like, it's mad because everyone. I think it's hard when the team's playing so well and there's so many good players. So you can't talk about everyone on like a show like this. Obviously, you will in the pub and all that, and like people get like talk about Gomez and Gravenberch and all that. But like Gomez coming in, like Canate was amazing. And then he gets that injury, doesn't he? Like last kick of the game against Madrid.
Yeah. You're
like, oh, now it's Quansah who got. We talked before we started recording about the Ipswich and like him coming off and like it affected his confidence. And I think it still is now a little bit. You can tell. But Gomez has came in back into that role.
I'm a massive fan of Joe Gomez. I always have been. Don't get me wrong. I think there have been times when his form has been poor, but I think he's come in. He's almost come in and done exactly what you'd imagine somebody who Slot wants to come in and do that. He's done that. He's very unassuming. He's just got on with his job, and I think he's been superb. And I think against Leicester, I thought he had a great game, and I thought against Tottenham, I thought he had a great. I mean, he looks like he's back being that partner to Van Dijk, and he's using the ball so much more. You know, you feel like his distribution has got better, his vision has got a lot better. He just looks like such a great. And I am gutted that he's injured. Yeah, really, really gutted.
Yeah, because those passes into like when he picks it up and he'll pass it, like punch it into like midfield into areas where you just like that's like what a midfield does, like breaking the lines with the passes, and it's so effective, especially when you play it into like a Gravenberch who can then turn, play into Salah and you're away. It's as simple as that. But I think he's been. I think after the injuries he's had as well, like the horrendous injuries, and I think at left back last season, I couldn't believe like how good he was in that area. Like, but like, I think the one thing for me that I've always thought about him maybe is that because he was like having these niggling injuries and bad injuries as well. Like going full blooded into tackles and like going full speed, that maybe wasn't there for a while, I thought. But then last season when he was at left back, he was flying into tackles, he was throwing himself about, blocking stuff, and I thought this is like a renewed.
I actually think that when he lost his place at left back at the end of last season, I think we were a poorer side.
Definitely.
Because I think that he was rock solid at left back. Yeah. Every game he put in a proper shift. And I think we lost something when he. I thought we were very lucky to lose his place.
Yeah, especially because I think that was weird because we were doing so well. And then we had them injuries, and then everyone started to come back, and then we started to blood them back in, and it kind of like we lost a little bit of momentum. It felt like as well, like Gomez losing his place and stuff like that.
The end of last season felt horrible, don't you think? Yeah, remember when we lost at home to Palace? And you felt like our heads have gone here.
Yeah,
like you say, like when we won the League Cup. Carabao Cup with all the kids in, you think this is amazing, this is brilliant, But when the players came, I don't know, we lost that bit of momentum. I don't know. I think the pressure of Klopp going, it was a horrible end to the season last season. I really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, especially like I think we're still a momentum team now, but I think on the Klopp we were even more so because it was all about emotion and like every 3 days let's just keep playing. I think that kind of helped us. So I think it was but talking about that. Then we're talking about like Slot and like how we felt like before Slot came in, and that you're looking at it going, it's massive shoes to fill. Maybe get a little bit of a drop off. There's like other rival fans saying the Klopp factor. He's gonna be struggling. You're gonna be lower, bottom half. All this shit that we say online. But he's been incredible, hasn't he?
It really incredible. And I think as well the fact that we didn't sign anybody. You know, Sanchez, it was always only ever going to be a squad player. You know, he wasn't a marquee signing by any stretch of the imagination. And you look at it and you go, okay, say for example, you know, two of our best performers this season, Gravenberch and Gakpo, both of them you felt, Gravenberch think, I don't know where he plays. He looks like a square peg in a round hole, no matter what he does. Yeah. Gakpo, he flatters to deceive. Is he a midfielder? Is he a winger? Is he a forward? We're not quite sure. Yeah. And Slot comes in and, you know, we were saying before, the first half against Ipswich, you're going, ooh, we look a little bit out of sorts here. This could be a long season. And then we won that game, and then it's just got better and better and better. And some of the performances of late in particular, I think maybe from, say, Real Madrid, when we beat them, I couldn't believe how good we were. And I almost did that whole thing that the whole media was doing and saying, like, Real Madrid didn't play very well. They were, I don't care.
No, I don't care.
We beat Real Madrid 2-0. And almost, I think as fans, we're doing the same thing. We're almost making those excuses. Oh, yeah, City have dropped off. United aren't great. Arsenal don't look as good.
Yeah.
I think we look great.
Yeah.
We look brilliant, full stop. No matter who we're up against, we look brilliant.
Yeah, it's the downplaying, isn't it? I think there's like Gary Neville, who's like he's like the consummate, like he just loves like to downplay Liverpool, doesn't he? Like even still, like I think he done predictions yesterday. And he was still like, Arsenal are going to win the league. He just can't. He doesn't want to admit it to himself that it's a possibility. And obviously, it might not happen. But in terms of how we're playing, like Gomez getting injured, we've got Konate coming back. I don't think he'll be back for United. He might be back for Forest. No, Konate. But then there's Bradley coming back as well. Jota's back on the bench, coming on, scoring goals.
Yeah.
Elliott's back as an option in that 10 position. So
I think it's interesting as well that he seems very, very assured in terms of saying, right, okay, because like you look at Jota and he's playing all the time. And again, I'd never ever criticise Klopp, but you feel like under Klopp's regime, Jota will be back in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Whereas Slot is saying, he's not quite ready. You know, he's not ready to kind of like do 90 minutes of what we do. And I like that. I like the fact that he's saying, he's fit enough to be on the bench and he's fit enough to play. I don't know if he's fit enough to play 90. And I like that. And I think with everything about Slot's regime so far is it's little changes from what we saw under Klopp that is just tweak things and make us seem a little bit more solid.
Yeah, well, I think you reap the benefits, don't you? If we add more injuries and you throw Jota back in and he inevitably breaks down again, you're like, well, now we're missing Jota for another 2 months.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I think similar with like Chiesa, where people have lineup comes out and Chiesa's not on the bench, people are going, where is he? Like, and then Slot gets asked about it and he says, well, he's not quite ready yet.
Yeah.
And it's like it's better to do that in the long haul. If we needed him, then I understand it, but we don't need him properly at this stage.
Yeah.
As it gets towards the end of the season and we're getting more and more games, that's when it'll come into it in the cup games and stuff as well.
I mean, I think coming back to sort of the Gomez and Konate thing, I think the only thing I would say, I do feel that since Konate's been out, I would say 2 of the goals against Newcastle, the second goal against Luton. I think there's a few goals that we've conceded that you feel if Konate had been in,
definitely
they wouldn't have scored them.
Yeah.
You know, that's the, whilst, you know, and it's not criticism of Gomez or anybody else is in that position. Konate is, he's getting closer and closer to being as valuable to us as Van Dijk.
Yeah, I think that says how good Konate is. So like Gomez is a great option, but like Konate, in terms of dealing with like wingers and like covering the space that Trent wants to vacate, I think he's one of the best in the world.
His vision of sort of seeing what's going to happen is quite incredible, and also his strength. You know, he is timing tackles and positioning himself that he's a powerhouse. It's impossible to get past.
Yeah,
I think we do miss that a little bit.
Definitely. Well, I think if he comes back for Forest, and then we've got like that's second half.
You'd like him back for Forest, wouldn't you, against Woods, who was just on fire. I mean, you know, we talk about our successes. There's a lad this season who is absolutely doing stuff you never imagined he'd do. Bear in mind, like, you know, you play for Oldham.
Yeah. And they've got like a Langer and plays like that with the pace that we need the extra pace to kind of deal with that. So hopefully he'll be back for them. But 9 points cleared of Arsenal, 10 of Chelsea. Speaking of Tim, going into 2025, 14 ahead of Man City. with a game in hand, obviously that's like a different, completely conversation, because they're like, that's just the. I can't even believe when I look at the table and I can see Man City. They're so far down. It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And like I live in Manchester, and watching their demise is weird, isn't it? I can't believe it's happened so quickly. I mean, don't get me wrong. Them losing Rodri is like when we lost Van Dijk for the season.
Yeah.
Almost like the whole heart of the team suddenly disappears.
Yeah.
And I think at the same time, then Kyle Walker suddenly looks like his legs have gone. Nobody's scared of him, outpacing him anymore. De Bruyne, again, looks like his legs have gone a little bit. Silva, same thing. All of a sudden, they've got a lot of players who seem to have grown old together.
Yeah.
And that little bit of lack of form, lack of confidence, the players that are coming in don't look quite so good. I'm not sure about that Rico Lewis. He looks all right.
Yeah.
He wouldn't trouble our bench.
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at that, then and Pep looks like he's lost the plot.
Yeah. Which is even like when he was like doing all them scratches on his head and all that, it was just like mad. Like I think the whole thing's just, I just can't believe it's happening. It's weird. Like I've got one of my best mates is a City fan, so for him, I feel like 2% sorry for them, like very, very, very fucking tiny amounts, just because of him.
Yeah.
But the rest, I'm like.
I think one of my favourite facts about City at the moment is the fact that Bobby Firmino scored a Premier League goal more recently than Jack Grealish, and I just think that's one of my favourite things.
God, that is class. Yeah. I know that's the start of the day. Take that with you into 2025. I love that. Well, speaking of players who are just incredible, we've got to speak about Mo Salah, because 30 goal contributions, 17 goals, 13 assists in the league so far. He's unbelievable. He's on the form of his life. Remember that first season when we couldn't believe? Because I remember when we signed Salah. I don't know if you were the same. That summer we signed Salah, who fundamentally was a Chelsea reject. Mane, who had done all right for Southampton, but it didn't set the world on fire. And we signed Oxlade-Chamberlain, who unfortunately didn't work out for us, but started really well for us, who again was an Arsenal reject. And I thought, what's Salah? And that first season, you just think, wow, where did this come from? Yeah.
But this season, I think, is the best I've ever seen him.
Definitely.
I think that, as well as he's scoring goals again, but his assists, his work off the ball, the level that he works at is, I mean, he's the best player in the world for me at the moment.
He is. Yeah, I think last year, maybe he lost a little bit of confidence in his ability to like just front up the defender. I think we've seen that loads more, like especially over the last 10 games, I'd say, where he would just be like, I'm going to just run at you. Well,
post Africa Cup of Nations, he looked really poor when he came out, didn't he? He looked like he'd lost confidence. He looked like he's lost a yard of pace.
Yeah.
He looked like he's lost a little bit of strength. And he didn't look happy. He didn't look happy on the pitch. Whereas now, I mean, I think the West Ham game, I mean, I'm sure that Wan-Bissaka must have gone the whole time and said, I don't care what you do, but I am not playing left back in the second half. Because Salah was just making him look like a Sunday League player.
Yeah, because I think there's been times like when he's played for United and he's done really well against Salah. Hasn't he? Yeah. That was obviously the ploy to put him over there to try and stop Salah, which at the minute is impossible. We saw it like against Fulham with Anthony Robinson, like first half, really good player, but he was turning them inside out, and he's very quick, and Salah's still doing it. But there's that, but then there's that. Then factor in the assists, which is just it's that ability to like be aware of how good he is, but also know like the pace and power dribbling. There's also dropping into spaces and being able to play those like outside the footballs into areas, and just like the one against West Ham where he kind of flicks it and he gets asked, doesn't he? Like, did you mean the first nutmeg?
Yeah.
He's like, no, I didn't think I meant that one, but the second one I did mean. Yeah. And he flicks it through to Gakpo. And
the thing is, even though he doesn't mean it, then he knows by putting himself in that position, something might happen.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the thing about somebody of his world class ability. You think something might happen with this, and if it doesn't, well, so what?
Yeah, even if he gets kicked, penalty, whatever, like anything happen from that kind of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got to start, and I feel like I say this every week. I've got like a Mike Reed from OptaStat. I've robbed another stat. Sorry, Mike. Mo Salah will end 2024 with the most goal involvements of any player for clubs in Europe's big 5 leagues and all competitions, 52.
Wow.
He's scored or assisted a goal every 64 minutes played on average.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's unreal, isn't it?
I mean, it
really superlatives, I think. Like, me and Mike do like a stat show, and it's like every week, it's like we've got like a Salah section.
Well, isn't he involved in something like 68% of every single goal that Liverpool have scored this season? I mean,
like
that is, I mean, obviously the whole contract thing drags on and on and on. You can't see any way that the club could allow him to leave. It would be, I mean, or Van Dijk. I mean, I think Trent's a different story, but I think, those two, you think, just tie him up. Here's the thing I don't quite understand about it. So say, for example, they give Salah a 3-year deal and they pay him, I don't know, 400 grand a week, whatever it is, whatever he wants, or they come to some agreement. So if in 18 months' time on a 3-year deal, his form drops off, you can still sell him to Saudi.
Yeah.
I don't understand why there's this deliberation about tying him in, because he's still going to be worth a load of money to Saudi. He could walk into any team in Saudi and still be, arguably the best player there. Even if he lost like half a yard of pace for us. It's weird.
If he went to he'd score a couple of hundred a season. He went to Saudi. He's doing
he goes to a Muslim country. He's one of the most famous Muslim men in the entire world. You think, I don't see, if I put my business head on, I don't see where the issue is.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question, with Salah and Van Dijk and Trent, because it seems like media-wise and the narratives and whatever, it does seem like Salah and Van Dijk are going to, albeit still take longer than we'd all like. I think we'd all have liked it to be done pre-January, because there's this people saying, oh, we can talk to clubs and whatever. Obviously, that's not, people would have been asking about them anyway. It doesn't matter about January, they still would have been asked about them, because the quality world-class players in the last year of the contracts, that would have happened anyway. But Trent, I think people are generally kind of thinking that maybe he's not going to stay. And there was that celebration after West Ham where he was doing that.
Yeah.
And then Slot kind of referenced it as well and says, his celebration says all you need to know.
Didn't Jude Bellingham do the same thing when he was leaving Dortmund, that same thing?
Oh, did he?
Somebody mentioned that.
Right.
The thing is, all right, so if I take my massively biased Liverpool head off and going, I would never ever want to play for anybody else if I was a footballer.
Yeah.
If I was Trent Alexander-Arnold and I'm 26 and I've won everything with Liverpool and I've been at the club since I was 6, and I think also you have to hold their hands up and say the club should have sorted this well in advance. And if they weren't going to get a deal with him, then realise the asset again from a business point of view. So, but if you're Trent, you go, right, so I could go and play for Madrid, live in Madrid, one of my best mates plays for them, I'm going to earn more money than I could ever imagine. My global standing will kind of rise because it's Real Madrid. I kind of get it.
Yeah, because I think it's quite pointed, because he's done an interview with Sky, I think, with Harry Pryor, and he was talking about choose one of these that you want to achieve, and he chose win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah,
and it's I think that was quite pointed in a way, but I don't know. I've got mixed messages because he's doing this. It's does that mean is he doing that because he thinks that the chatter about the Spanish stuff is a load of shit?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that the fact that one is the big, because I think Carragher's wrote about it saying do you want to be Gerrard or McManaman, basically? Do you want to stay?
Yeah.
And I think for local lads, you will tarnish that legacy a little bit. I think that's inevitable. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he's obviously, if he's going to go, he's thought long and hard about that. But then his general legacy in terms of maybe globally might not be tarnished the same way, but I think especially if he came back to Anfield, say he went to Madrid and then we got Madrid next season, we played Madrid in the Champions League next season, he had to come to Anfield.
Yeah,
that would be really prickly, I think.
Yeah, and the thing is, if he does go, I would hate him to get a terrible reception.
That's it as well. Yeah.
I really would, because I love Trent, and I think he's one of the most exciting players I've ever seen in a red shirt in all the years I've been watching them. And you look at every single game, he'll hit a pass and you go, how has he even seen that?
Yeah.
Never mind the skill of doing it. How has he even seen that ability? The first goal against Tottenham, that perfectly weighted cross for Diaz to head in. And we'll watch it on the telly from a gantry that high. You say, oh yeah, I can see why he did that. He's down there.
Yeah.
So it would be a shame, but I hope desperately that he stays. But I think of the three, he's almost likely to go. But the club should have done something about it.
Yeah, that's it. I think the longer it goes on, I think because of the age of Salah and Van Dijk, it's going to get sorted. But with Trent, I think.
I mean, I understand the club from one side of it, that if all of a sudden those three players who are the cornerstone of our entire team with Alisson, you would say, then if all of a sudden they're suddenly earning much more money than they are now, then obviously all of a sudden Curtis Jones wants more and McAllister wants more and Szoboszlai wants more. So I kind of get that, but equally, you look at it and go, this is world football. We've got, those three players have been through everything, and you certainly think, certainly with Van Dijk and Alisson, from the Coutinho money, it changed everything.
Yeah, it did.
Everything.
It did. Yeah. I think it will be, especially like a local lad leaving anyway, but then to leave for free.
Yeah.
And like obviously McManaman, I don't think that whole thing's been sorted really in terms of like when he comes back to Anfield. I think it's because it's been such a length of time now. It's not as bad, but I still think he gets a little bit of a bad rep just because of that. But I think circumstances, because we weren't that good. I think apparently we tried to sell him to Barca the year before and try and make some money on him, which you can understand. You don't want to lose like your assets for free, do you?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about Sunday then, because United got beat again last night in Newcastle 2-0. They're currently 7 points off relegation. They're in absolute pieces, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's just, in a way, I do feel bad for Amram, because he's kind of like, we apparently were looking at him, but he's got this like set like formation, back three and all that. It didn't suit us, so we didn't go for him. We went for Stock because we knew it was going to be an easier acclimatization, which it is, because we're seeing it now. They've just kind of went, well, who's like a decent young manager, but they're now playing like a mismatch of styles, and you don't quite know what they're doing. But I think for me, Sunday's just going to be, I fucking hate it. Like Everton and United, people say I look forward to these games. I hate them. I despise
hate them.
I love it when the whistle goes, and it doesn't matter as long as we've got 3 points. That's all that matters. But the actual, like, even when we've been flying, like we won the league, we drew 1-1 at Old Trafford, and like Lallana got like a late equaliser. It's just a horrible game, and it's going to be like, I think people going, when you go into a game like this and you're like massive favourites like we are, I think it's always hard we've got to then like show it on the pitch as well.
Yeah. I think the logical side of you says they look like they've no idea what they're doing. They don't have a defence, they don't have a midfield, they don't have an attack. How could we not? And the keeper looks dodgy. How could we not win? But it's Liverpool, Man United, and that's the thing. Is that there's something in there. I'll be so disappointed more than ever, I would say, if we don't beat them on Sunday, because you feel there's nothing that you can see that we've been doing that they can actually deal with, and there's nothing that they've been offering that we can't deal with. So the logical side says that, but you just don't know. And just talking about it now, like you say, those two games, Everton and Man United, are the games that sit there. And what is it? It's Tuesday today. The game's Sunday. I'm already overthinking this game. I really am.
Even because it's even at home, and you just think it's set up perfectly just to blow them away.
Yeah,
but you just know it's going to be like just a scummy, horrible game. But it's like, just win. Yeah, it's just win, isn't it? By any means necessary.
Yeah, definitely. And I think coming back to the way that we've changed under Slot, you almost feel like he sits above what we're going through. Whereas you felt Klopp was one of us, right?
Yeah.
Klopp would feel Man United and Everton all week.
Yeah.
Whereas you kind of feel with Arne Slot, he's sort of going, it's another game. Let's have a look at them tactically. Okay, what can we do to overcome that? That's interesting that they do. But if we do that, then they won't be able to do that. And we'll do that and we'll exploit that. So I don't know. I mean, Mick, because you hate ever wanting to prophesise that you might do well against United.
No, that's it. Yeah, but I think you're right though. Like, logically and structure-wise and all that stuff, like in terms of like enhancing our strengths and exploiting their weaknesses, you'd think like Slot would be the perfect man to kind of do that, because we've seen that so far this season. Obviously, I don't even want to talk about him because I feel like I'm going to jinx it. But you'd like to think, I'd to think that we should have enough to. Because I think I was talking in like the group chat today, like about like obviously like the yellow cards and stuff, and like Gravenberch and Gakpo, and you're like, do you reckon Endo might start just to save Gravenberch for Forest? It's like, you want to. We're talking about prioritising players for Forest over United. I think that says
and
a lot.
Accrington Stanley.
With them, especially. I think that says a lot, though, doesn't it? About like where Forest are obviously doing amazingly, and where United are, which is very, very poor, which is great for everyone involved.
Yeah.
I just remembered I didn't do the opening question. I'll do the opening question at the end. So we'll do it and ending question instead. But I mentioned before, like the like awards, like 2024 awards. I think let's do Player of the Year, Most Improved, and then Moment maybe.
Okay.
So what was 2024 Player of the Year?
It's hard, isn't it? Because then you have to go through the whole of the year, and you think what we've got
last year. Yeah.
You know, it's almost like there's so two halves of the year, aren't there? I mean, the obvious one is Salah, because I think what he's done this season. But I think if I look at the overall 2024, I think I'd go Konate for my Player of the Year, because I think he's gone to another level. And again, he had a little dip at the end of last season, as I think all the players did. But now, when you see Konate on the pitch, you're pretty damn certain that no one is going to make any inroads past him.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I've loved watching him all year. You know, when I played, I was a defender, so I think I've always had a soft spot for it. I think Salah is the obvious choice because he's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
But for me, I think for the whole of 2024, Konate, I think, has just upped his game to a level where he is as important as Van Dijk, as we were saying before.
Yeah. Well, Most Improved Player, do you think Konate comes into that?
Definitely, but I think you can't help but say it's got to be Gravenberch.
I know, that's what I've brought Gravenberch.
You know, again, you know, okay, it's only this season, but that lad has gone from being somebody that you think, to going, you'd be like, devastated if he was injured or suspended.
Yeah. You were like, what is he? Because I think we saw, it was a City away where I think he picks it up on the left and he like glides past Rodri. I think we score off it. Yeah. I'm like, fucking hell, like he's like that's like an ability that he's got, and it's like that ability where he comes into him and he's got that like that little jink where he lets it run through his body.
Yeah.
I think he got asked about it and he was like, why'd you do that all the time? I was like, I don't know, just do it. Like it just comes naturally. It's like he just knows where the space is and he knows where to go. But it's that, and it's like what we already seen, but it's the tenacity, it's the going into tackles, it's winning headers, just putting his foot in where it might hurt. It's like all that stuff that we didn't see before.
I think he's had one bad game. I thought Newcastle away. I thought Newcastle got the measure of him.
He looked shattered.
They just in the back of him all the time because he loves, you know, have his back to goal. And I think that fair play to Eddie Howe. And I thought more teams might have done that. But equally, you know that Slot will have said to him, right, we need to address this because, you know, you got caught out there. But I think he's been absolutely incredible. I think definitely our most improved player. You know, to now somebody who is, he's name on the team sheet every week, isn't he? It's not, should have been him or somebody else, it's him.
And it's mad when you think, like, 6 months ago, you'd be like, Gravenberch would be your main fella in that midfield. You'd be like...
Yeah. Well, I was gutted when we didn't sign Zubimendi because I do like him. I think he's a good player. I would still sign him. I think if we got the chance, I'd still sign him because I still think, you know, we need a little bit more depth. But Gravenberch has shown that... And it's a different way. He's not a holding six, is he? I think the way that he and Maka pivot is just genius. Yeah. Absolute genius.
I think it says a lot about like Slot, like attention to detail again, like we've been saying, like the ability to show him what he's got. And, you know, what you need to do is improve here, here and here. And the fact that he's done it so soon.
I don't know if you noticed against West Ham that in the second half, he switched their roles a little bit and all of a sudden Gravenberch was picking the ball up a little bit further upfield and running further forward. Meanwhile, Maka was holding back more. I mean, it's just that thing that Slot does. It's just brilliant.
But there's that much going on, isn't there? Sometimes, like you have to like. Sometimes I have to watch it again just to fully appreciate. Like,
I wonder as well whether we're blessed at Liverpool the fact that we have players with a level of football intelligence that maybe other people don't have. Because Slot is changing things. I know it's slight tweaks, but it's quite specific.
Yeah,
and he's clearly instructing the players to do that. And they're doing it. And so for example, Man United, going back to them, I can't imagine that Amram would have that luxury of saying to Garnacho, right, I want you to do this rather than that. And Garnacho going, well, no, I don't do that. What I do is I run like a knobhead. I try and go past those people, then put the ball out of play. You know what I mean? Whereas like, it seems like our players respond and understand what's required of them.
Yeah. I think, again, that's like maybe like a hangover from Klopp as well, like buying players who... Number one, the rule is no knobheads. Yeah. That's the number one rule I think should be in life, no knobheads.
Yeah.
And then there's players who have got the ability to be versatile as well. And can go into different positions, like we're seeing with Gakpo playing as a left. And that's what we're saying about Gravenberch, you're going to be the main fella in centre half. Like, if we said 6 months ago, you're starting forward's going to be Diaz and Gakpo's going to be wide, you'd be like, you sure you haven't got that the wrong way around?
I think one of the things I've also loved so far this season is Diaz playing through the middle.
Yeah, it's been incredible.
I've loved that.
He's so intelligent, isn't he?
He looks like the trick. He's not like Bobby Firmino, but that whole thing of not having a target, not having a big man there, and he causes problems all the time.
Yeah, because he's got that ability from being like a wide player, like dribbling ability, but then like against West Ham, he got a bit of luck, like playing it through, but then it came back and he's got the finishing ability as well, like which some wingers haven't got, and I think he has got that.
Yeah.
Moment of the year,
tricky that one. I mean, Virgil's header when we beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup, obviously a big one. Aside from that being the winning goal, and because I love Virgil and the fact that it was against Chelsea and Tim's a Chelsea supporter, that is a biggie. But the other one that springs to mind, there's two others really. Beating Real Madrid, I think that was amazing. I think we absolutely battered them. And they've always been a massive thorn on our side in recent times. So I think that was a game. I think that was also the game when probably all of us said, Slot actually really knows what he's doing. Because up to that point, it was like, you've not played anyone yet. And then we could beat Real Madrid and City. And so that win was a good one. But then the other specific moment that springs to mind was Salah's goal against Brighton. When we'd struggled in the first half, we looked like, you know what, they've got the better of us here. They really had the edge, and then we just, again, coming back to Slot, he just turned it around, and then the minute Salah got that ball, you knew he was going to score, and that when that ball in the net, and then from that moment you thought, right, we've won this. So I think those are three things over the years. What's yours?
Yeah, I think it's hard to look past the Van Dijk header, isn't it? Against Chelsea, just because that was just like the kids in there and like everyone's shattered, and then he just comes up with like a big moment like that, and you're like,
having had one disallowed already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I just think there's a few this year, isn't there, as well, like this season anyway, like in terms of like Slot coming in and doing magic stuff. I think I love like just tactically what he's like in game, where like when we've had like red cards and he's like he'll try. You put like Gomez on the right back, and then it was like, oh no, let's do a back three, and he put him over on the left, and then like it's in game. He's constantly trying to find answers, and I think like it was quite interesting. Like I think Robertson done like an interview the other day, and he was like got asked about like his position like going forward and stuff, and he was like, no, it changes every game. Yeah, like it's not like one size fits all. It's like it's dependent on that position, players that are in that position. Yeah,
well, Robert was coming in so much more against West Ham, wasn't he? Did I tell you the story about? I did. I was very lucky to be invited to be part of Liverpool's Christmas retail advert. Did I tell you this story? No, I don't. Right. Anyway, so we saw Trent there, mate. I've met Trent a few times. So this was probably about sort of 6-7 weeks into the season, and I said, "Oh, you know, how are you finding Slot?" And he said he's kind of quite amazing. He said, like, you know, a couple of weeks ago, he said to me, he goes, "Oh, Trent," he said, after training, he said, "Have you got 5 minutes? I've got some videos I want to show you. Just want to talk you through." Trent said, "I was thinking, oh, here we go. Here's Gordon roasting me. Here's Silver roasting me, blah, blah, blah." And he said he went into his office and he's got video content from training sessions. And he goes, right, look at this one here. He said, when this guy's coming towards you, if you turned your body 6 degrees inwards, he can't get past you. And he said he just went through all this stuff, and he said he came out going like, it's just amazing.
Attention to detail.
And you know, and I just think that is kind of quite. I mean, I think that shows the absolute measure of the man. That, you know, and again, he's just different, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, and I think fair play. You know, the club gets criticised a lot of the time for the way they handle negotiations, for not signing enough players, but there are certain things they get very, very right. And his appointment, you know, okay, there's a long way to go. But his appointment, I think we all know it's the right one.
It's incredible. I think it was getting used to, like we mentioned before, the Klopp emotion and like all that stuff that goes with it, like like being charismatic and like getting the city, not just the club but the city and all that stuff. Like basically being a politician, sometimes talking more sense to them anyway. Yeah. And then like to have to like fill those shoes and to come in and just be really upfront and like, this is what we're going to do, and like tactically switched on. There's just so much to him, isn't he? Which is long may it continue. Yeah. All right, well, opening question now, ending question, because I forgot about it. I was asking about like Jeff Goldblum blew me mind, so just that sent me off on a different tangent. As it's New Year's Eve, and obviously 2025 is upon us very much. Tom asks, which 5 people of Liverpool, past or present, would you invite to your New Year's Eve party?
Wow, that's a great question, isn't it? I mean, I'd be hard pressed not to have Shankly, Dalglish, Klopp as sort of 3 of them.
The 3 cornerstones.
Yeah. And it's a shame because I pays it one, but I just need to not have 5 managers. Then,
difficult one, isn't it?
It is tricky because you want it to be balanced, and you want it to be exciting. I mean, as a kid, see if I went one from present, I'd go Van Dijk. I've never met Van Dijk, and I think there are very few people in the world that I would get kind of like starstruck by, but he'd be one. So I think I'd have to have Virgil.
Yeah.
I also think because I think he'd be a great dinner party guest. And then the final one, I think I'll go mad. I think I'll go Jerry Jones. Because you just imagine Jerry Jones, and I'm talking Jerry Jones, in the 70s. Don't get wrong, so Jerry Jones is still a load of fun now. But he was just a bit bonkers, and I always liked the fact that he was a bit kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Who are yours?
Yeah, I think similar lines. I think I'd have Gerrard in there, just because I've never. We were talking about like Fowler before.
Yeah.
I've met him like a few times. And
yeah.
I think I'd put Fowler in there, but I've never met Gerrard. I think it's one like similar to Van Dijk, where if he was walking down the street, I would lose my shit. I would I wouldn't know what to say. I'd lose all function. One of them, like where you just proper fanboy moment. I think Klopp's got him in there just because for what he's done. I think he's crazily intelligent and like he's got all these stories as well. So there's all that in there as well. I was trying to think of like someone rogue, like if you had like a 6th member who just like turned up, who would you have in there? Like just someone like not maybe as popular, but like someone who would just be, I don't know, just he'd be making the bevies and just getting smashed in the kitchen, be there till 6 a.m.
That's a good one.
I think Didi Hamann would be that guy in real life because he loves a drink.
I've been out drinking with Didi Hamann a few times, so that will be a proper heady. I mean, Rushy's good fun. I mean, I'm very fortunate that Rushy's become a good mate, and he's a great person to kind of be involved with.
Was he like a bevy as well?
Yeah, many times. In fact, after we lost Champions League final to Real Madrid, I had a very drunken lunch the next day. We're all a bit kind of down with my son, Rushy and his missus, Rushy's agents, and Clive Tilsley. And it was
what the hell? It was mad.
It was one of those. We're in Paris. It starts off a little bit subdued, and at the end where they're coming up to us and saying like, "Can you all please be a little bit quiet?" So I mean, Rushy would be a good one. I'm trying to think of like your oddball one that you really loved as a fan.
Yeah, like a cult hero type.
Yeah.
Like some people were saying, Eagle.
And I'm so much older than you. Mine go back a long, long way. You see, I love David Fairclough, the original super sub.
Yeah.
And again, I know Dave a little bit now, and again, he'd be a nice fella to be there. Right, I tell you what we could do. If you're going to go someone that would be bonkers and you wouldn't understand why you'd pick it, what happens if suddenly Voronin rolls up?
Oh my God. You're not inviting me.
You don't know, what are you doing here?
I didn't invite you.
Igor Biscan.
Yeah.
I love him.
Igor Biscan.
Yeah, he went from being, that great banner, wasn't it? Like, super tragic Igor, super Croat Igor Biscan used to be atrocious.
Yeah.
And I think that he ended up being a bit of a cult figure, didn't he?
Yeah, so. Istanbul, like running all playing like against Leverkusen, like because we had like injuries to Alonso and Gerrard, didn't we?
Yeah,
I think there's a few like Titi Kamara. I reckon he'd just be like mad as well.
Yeah,
because there's an account on Twitter. I don't know if it's him,
right?
Because he takes the piss out of Everton all the time, and I was like, I'm hoping it's you, but I don't know if you just like someone's made like an obscure account and no one's questioning it.
Yeah,
it's him.
Yeah.
But he just takes the piss out of it. I don't think he's posted for a while, but he used to just like literally go after Everton after every defeat and be like, "Oh, use a shit," and all that. And I'd be like, I don't know if it's you or not, but I hope it is, because I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's a few others like, but yeah. There's.
I think is the thing, is it about when you are a fan, then even players like Voronin, who was absolutely terrible for us, you still think, I'd still like to hear his stories about what it was like to play for Liverpool. You know, he's done something that we've never done.
Yeah. Because we've done an interview with Sean Dundee many moons ago, and it was like one of them, like, where you want to see what he says.
Yeah. I remember last time I was on, and I sort of said, worst Liverpool player, and I actually said him, and you said,
I told you that.
You said, what's his name, Diouf. You said Diouf was the worst player, and I agree with that. Yeah. Sean Dundee, I think, was possibly technically the worst footballer I've ever seen at Liverpool.
Yeah.
But again, you're right. I'm sure he was a really nice guy.
He was, and I think it's just, he just kind of like said, "Oh yeah, it wasn't fit. It didn't go well for me."
Yeah.
But it is nice to see, like, because it's constant, just like, who's the worst? It's like Sean Lee's always in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's just try and get him on Instagram and get him on. And it was quite good.
Yeah, because you wonder as well, like, against somebody like Carriers, who again I think possibly, undoubtedly Klopp's worst signing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm sure he's a nice bloke. He hasn't got a club at the moment, does he?
No, exactly. Yeah. No, there's quite a few, isn't there?
Yeah.
All right, Tom. Well, we'll leave it there because we've done quite a bit there. And what's that? 50 minutes? No, sorry about that. It flew by. But yeah, nice one, Sam.
It's always good to see you, mate. Always good. And Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy New Year to everyone. If you're watching, it's New Year's Eve today, so if you're watching tomorrow, Happy New Year. You're in 2025. Nice one to Simon for jumping on. Nice one, everyone, for watching or listening. Not sure we've got on next week. I need to consult the calendar and get them all boxed off ready for 2025 and get loads more done. But yeah, nice one to Simon for jumping on. Nice one, everyone, for watching or listening, and we'll see you all very soon. And yeah, Happy New Year.
Cheers, guys.
I'm Jamie Carragher, and you are listening to the Pint Podcast.